Recording. Guys, welcome to this call today, and I'm glad that you're here. We're going to start with overcoming objections. And so Bo Bennett put a quote out there, and it's an objection is not rejection. It's simply a request for more information. Okay? So these are some of the most likely objections that I hear and that I've heard in the field. So I'd like to ask my employees first. Okay? And so most associates, when they hear this, that their heart just drops. To me, it's like the cherry on top of a sundae, okay? When somebody tells me that I'd like to ask my employees, here's how I overcome that objection. Perfect. That's exactly what we want to do. So what we'd like to do is do that with you, hand out benefit questionnaires, just cover a brief summary of the benefits and find out if your people are interested. This way, we're doing what you want to do. At the same time, if they have any questions, I'm there to answer them. So like that's the most common objections I heard. And what I did was I threw out that line and they took it most of the time. The other way, when they said, I'd like to ask my employees, I said, look, Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner, the last thing we want to do is put you in the corner answering questions about insurance that you don't have the answers to. As a free service from Aflac, what we do is we come in and poll your employees for you, gauge the level of interest, and then follow it up. If we find that 3 or more of your employees are interested, would you be willing to do payroll deductions? That's it. Like, guys, notice how smooth that sounded coming out? It's because I practice it a lot. You've got to face these objections. The first couple times I did it, I always stuttered. Like, I was like, what do I do? That's being a new associate. It's okay for you not to have the perfect words. After 7 years, you will. And listen, it won't take 7 years if you do it enough times. Practice makes perfect. Every time you walk through the front door and you get that objection and you walk out and you think, hey, maybe I could have handled it this way, you're training your brain. When you're training your brain, you're amplifying your success rate, okay? The next one that I see quite frequently, or I hear quite frequently from business owners, I want to wait and see what happens with healthcare. This was my most common objection in 2009 and 2010 when legislation was going through with healthcare reform. What I want to do is sharpen your pencil right now and get you ready for the objection before it actually happens. You're going to start hearing this next week. So how do I handle that? Listen, there's a lot of chaos in the marketplace right now. You and your employees don't know what's going to happen, but this is what I can tell you. I truly believe that Aflac, in this very rocky and rough time, when people are guessing what their insurance is going to be like, we're the stabilizing factor that makes everything okay. Because the one thing that doesn't change, Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner, is your employee still needs a paycheck. Notice I stopped. See, I like to talk a lot, but silence speaks volumes. If you throw something out there like that, your employees still need a paycheck, I'm telling, and stop and let them respond. Listen to what they say after that. Guys, we got to focus in on telling the employer when they throw that objection out that, you know what, we don't know what it's going to look like, but I can tell you, I know what Aflac's going to do. I can tell you that your employees, regardless of what they do with healthcare, your employees still have to pay their rent. Your employees still have to pay for daycare. And you know what? The health insurance companies will never write you a check for food in the fridge, okay? You can negotiate with doctors and hospitals. So here's the other thing that's happening right now, and I'm watching very close this law. They're throwing out the mandates. So they're throwing out the mandates of the employer, and the idea from the Republican administration is you're going to see an uplift because you had a lot of employees that didn't want to go over that 49 threshold for employee base because they didn't want to get fined, taxed, or penalized. Now they're taking that mandate off, which is a great thing for Aflac because that means they're going to be hiring more. That means you'll be able to get in front of more employees. The thing is, though, is that some employers are going to think, hey, I'm not responsible for that anymore. We've got to show them that, Mr. Employer, you're responsible to give them a paycheck for their work. And if they can't work, how will they get a paycheck? Like, these are the kind of conversations. Look, it may be one of those things that you feel a little uncomfortable about saying. It's kind of provocative. But if you're afraid to ask provocative questions, you're going to limit your success. You got to face the facts and help them face the facts. especially male business owners, and I'm just saying this, and listen, it's not against males because I am one, but we tend as males to stick our head in the sand like an ostrich and hope nothing hits us. We've got to pull that business owner out of the sand and get him thinking about what is going to happen and the real consequences by not offering Aflac. The next thing, I can't add another thing to my plate right now, okay? So I hear that a lot because I don't want to do payroll deductions, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. So here's what you're dealing with, and in the next slide it talks about fear a little bit, even shows a lady up there a little scared. But the thing about it is that the reason why they're saying that is they're feeling overwhelmed. Every time you walk into a business owner's office, the average business owner has a week and a half worth of work sitting on their desk right now that they have to do. So to them, you're another thing added onto that plate. So you've got to take fear out of that. That is a response out of fear. I'm afraid to take one more thing on. So how do you mitigate that? Here's how. Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner, I'm going to make this very easy on you because I'm going to take full responsibility to make sure that we deploy the benefits, that you get payroll deductions on time, and that it's a seamless entry into your benefits program. Well, we don't have a benefits program, but listen, your employees will appreciate if you do have one. Even if you can't afford to offer health insurance, you can afford to offer Aflac, and your employees will appreciate it, and it'll help retain employees. Well, I just still think I can't add anything to my plate right now. Well, here's the thing. If you and I make this benefit available, you and I will be doing the right thing. And like I said, I'm going to sit down with payroll. I'll help her or him enter in the payroll deductions. If it's you, I'll help you to make sure that this thing is easy and it's not another thing added to your plate. It's just a part of the system. So when you start doing that and telling them that, they start to lose that sense of fear and gain trust in you as their associate. So I want to give you an example. I had a vision, an optometrist place over in Mojave County. And I go in there, and it's an older guy, very nice man. He's been an optometrist for like 50 years, and he's probably about ready to retire. So I walk in as an Aflac associate, and I try to greet him, and he said, "No, man, well, I'm not interested in it, no way, no how." And so I kept following up. Well, because I kept following up, guess who I got to know? Not so much the optometrist, because he ran into the back when I came in the door, but I got to know the manager. And the manager told me, "Man, I used to have Aflac. Aflac's great, man. I'd love to get Aflac again." I said, "Well, talk to your boss and see, if you can offer Aflac." So he kept bugging his boss. So he kind of helped me with my follow-up. And then the boss said, "Fine, we'll go ahead and offer it." Guess what? We signed everybody but one person up. Everybody, and the one person was the optometrist, by the way. So signed everybody up. Then I asked the optometrist, I'm delivering the payroll deductions, and I go, "Hey man, can I ask you a question?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Why wouldn't you let me offer Aflac in the beginning?" See, it's important to ask that because then you can understand where they're coming from. So I asked him the question, and here's what he told me. Truly, and this is embarrassing, I didn't know how to do payroll deductions. And I've been in business for 40 or 50 years. Now think about that for a second. I must follow that with him 10, 12 times. Okay, I don't stop, man. I'm a dog on a bone. I see an opportunity to help people. I'm not leaving until I help those people. So I kept going. But here's the thing. The fear was so simple, but it didn't get unmasked or uncovered until I asked him that question. You do not know what the fear is behind their mind. When they tell you, "I can't add another thing to my plate," it's probably, they're probably right because they're scared. So you got to eliminate that fear, find out what the fear is, and then solve it for them, okay? So I can't get all my employees together for a meeting. All right, that's a pretty common one. "Hey man, we're busy. My hours constraints. I'm tight on wages right now. I can't bring everybody in and pay them for an extra half hour for you to do a presentation for them." So hey, no problem. Now look watch what I do with my hands. This is very important. Now I'm close to the camera, so I'm with the employer, and then I say, "Hey, no problem," and I step back. What it does is it relieves pressure in that person's mind. It puts them at ease. So when I step back and hold my hands up, I say, "Listen, hey, no problem. What we can do is you just give me a roster of your employees, and I'll sit down and we'll do a shoulder tap method. So that way, when I'm done with one person, it'll take me about 15 minutes to 20 minutes per person, then I'll have them grab Susie and Joe and Jane, and they can just shoulder tap. That way it doesn't interrupt your business. Is that fair? So what day next week can we see your employees? Earlier in the week or later in the week? Go right for the ask. 85% of salespeople in any industry fail because they don't ask for the business. So you got to ask. Even if it doesn't feel like a very comfortable time, they won't see it coming, and you just say, hey, listen, earlier in the week or later in the week, what works better for you and your employees? You're giving them a choice. Pick one. And then the eyes shoot up in the brain like this. That means you got it. It's over. That means you're going to schedule the appointment. Okay? Not interested. Hey, man, I can see why. I mean, people wouldn't be interested in it, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to give your employees a choice and see if they're interested, and then maybe after hearing about it, you might be interested too. But I don't care whether they're interested or not. I care that they're empowered and informed to make a decision that's best for them and their families. See, know what I just did? I took that I'm not interested, and I said, hey, I understand where you're coming from, but the thing is I'm not here to find out if they're interested. I'm here to educate them and empower them to make a decision that's best for them and their families. So what day next week can we see your employees? Earlier in the week or later in the week? What works better for you? Oh, earlier in the week? Great. Earlier in the morning or later in the afternoon? I got a spot on Tuesday. Always ask. Slip the ask in every time you're meeting with decision making. Then they say earlier in the week, perfect. On Tuesday, morning or afternoon, what works better for you? Well, I'll get all my employees in here in the morning, or you can see my employees throughout the day on Tuesday. I said, perfect. I'll come in. What time do you open up? 8 o'clock in the morning? Okay, great. Can I get 5 or 10 minutes on a call with you? Because we just got to set the account up with Aflac. Boom. Drop the mic, babe. We can't do payroll deductions. So you hear that a lot too. Okay. So what seems to be the problem? Well, we have so many slots in our paycheck, and we don't have any extra slots left. Well, what type of things do you deduct? Oh, we deduct child support, we deduct health insurance, we deduct 401k. So how many spots are available? A total of 4. Okay. So by offering payroll deductions, what it'll do is it'll help your employees not only get our great benefits like our accident plan, cancer plan, critical care and recovery, but it's also going to help them do this, get short-term disability. The very reason that they have that paycheck is because they come to work. But the minute that they can't come to work, they don't get that paycheck anymore. Could maybe we talk to your paychecks or ADP and find out if there's an additional slot that they can make available for you? I mean, I'll sit here right now and just help you get it over the phone. You know, I'll talk to them too with you and help you get this set up, because it's important for your employees to still get a paycheck if they get sick or hurt and they can't work. Then they go, no, there's no absolute way we can do it that way. Hey, that's no problem. Hey, as long as we get to see all your employees, what we can do, and this is last-ditch effort, what we can do is we can provide them with direct draft out of their bank account on payday. All right? But here's the thing. If we set this up just like a normal account where we do payroll deductions, we need to see each and every employee and explain the benefits to them so it's fair and consistent. So as you got one, you go to the other. When they tell me you can't do something, I keep going. I keep going on what I want. And the reason is because the brain starts working out how to make that happen. If you stop and let the objection hit you and you don't go past it, what happens is they feel like they've solved their problem by closing you off or shutting the door. My employees won't be interested. Hey, I understand where you're coming from. It's the same thing. Are you interested in insurance? No, I'm not either. I mean, if you ask me that question, I'm not interested in insurance at all. And so you got to be careful because you can get combative. We don't want to get combative. We want to be consultative. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying, listen, if I just open the door and say, hey, anybody want Aflac? People won't say no because they know it's insurance. But do they really know what that insurance is? So all I'd like to do is just educate your employees, empower and inform them to make a decision that's best for them and their families. Okay? We had Aflac here before and nobody was interested. Okay, I've heard this so many daggone times. And listen, I walked in to a business, listen, as an associate, second year, I think it was a year and a half in, I walk into a business, they said, we had Aflac here last week. And I said, well, that's great. So y'all have it now, right? And they said, no, none of us bought it. And I said, well, sometimes it's not the message. Sometimes it's the messenger. See how it caused somebody's in the audience here today, and Sean said, messenger. See, when I say that, you have to respond. Silence speaks volumes. So it's not always the message. Sometimes it's the, and I reach my hand out like this. Sometimes it's the, and then you have to say messenger. Okay, the brain makes it happen. So what I'd like to do is, if you'd give me a chance, now look at how I'm acting. Watch my body language. If you give me a chance to just explain these benefits to your employees, I guarantee you that they're going to participate. And so there were 3 employees. Now check this out. 3 employees at an automotive shop just got a presentation the week before. He says, all right, you can come in next week. So I come in next week, and he's got his arms folded like, yeah, here we go again. And I do a presentation for him, and guess what happened? Each one of the 3 people, including the man that told me no, bought 2 policies. He bought accident and dental insurance, each one of them. And then after the dental policy went into effect, the kid, one of the guys had to, he waited, I think it's 3 months for extractions or something like that. He waited 3 months. He got his tooth extracted, and he said, Aflac actually paid me more than my dentist charged me. I said, why? Because it's a family member. I said, well, you shouldn't be a family member, but that's okay, man. But at any rate, the point is that, guys, you can't help people unless you move past that objection. Don't be afraid to be the better messenger. Don't be afraid. You can be better than the person that walked in there before you, right? And I proved it, and that's being a new associate. So the next thing is, you'll see it on the screen here. I'm not sure this is for me. Okay, I completely understand. But look at the person in the middle. Okay, you want to come over and take a look? So look at the person in the middle of the screen here. She's scared, right? And Sean's going to come over and take a look. Look. Mm-hmm. This is why, what I want to show you is, this is why you get these objections. It's because of fear. Listen, think about a business that's had Aflac for a long time and loves us. Man, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no fear there. They love Aflac. So we just got to get them to love Aflac and get the fear out of the way. I can't afford it. They can't afford it. My employees can't afford it. Well, let me ask you a question, Mr. Business Owner or Mrs. Business Owner. Could they afford not to? See, this is paycheck protection. So if this is a big objection you get, they can't afford it. Well, listen, I'm going to ask you a question, Mr. Business Owner. Can they afford to go without a paycheck? Because if they get sick or hurt and they can't work, that paycheck stops and the bills keep coming. So all I want to do, now granted, they might not buy, big life insurance policies or anything like that. I'm fine with that, but at least give them the option to protect that income so they can still feed their family. I mean, how do you say no to that? Come on. But you got to be provocative. You got to ask something that people aren't willing to ask. I've got to get some things handled first. Okay, great. Let's set up a follow-up meeting. Okay? When they throw this objection at you, you've got to get a follow-up meeting, because that keeps it on their plate. We got to make sure we're front and center. I got to get some things handled first. Great. Let's set up a future time when we can sit down. I'm sure you'll have some questions between now and then. I'm going to do some research because you got a specific set of circumstances I want to address with you. So let me do some homework, and you develop some questions, and we'll meet up on the Tuesday after next. How's that? Morning or afternoon? What works better for you? See where it comes from. I need to sleep on it. I don't get that too often. I'm sure it seems expensive. It sure seems expensive. We don't get that because we're $7, $10, $12 a week. So that's out the window. I haven't got the time. We covered that in the previous slide. My plate is full. I can't take anything else on. Listen, I was writing those objections in before I pulled up this slide and put it and inserted it. Okay. So these are typical objections that you'll see. I'm not sure this is what we need. Okay. So what do you feel you need? What's missing out of, sometimes you respond with a question. It's not, now listen, when they ask you a question, it's not always good to respond with a question. When they make a statement, it's okay to respond with a question. So when they say, I'm not sure this is what I need, or, hey, listen, so what do you feel you need? Because I have partners in the insurance industry that can help fill those voids as well. I mean, we work with VSP, we work with Delta Dental, we work with Transamerica Life Insurance, as well as Aflac. So what do you feel that you need? What is missing out of your benefits program? And when they tell you, you start looking for tools from Aflac first and see if we can fill those voids. Maybe it's administration. Maybe it's not even anything to do with benefits. So are we talking about Everwell? Are we talking to them about what they feel that they need from an administration standpoint? Because if you can make that lady that's scared to death right now, you can make her job easier by deploying administration tools we have in Everwell. Man, you can take work off her plate. Now she can get off work early on Friday, right? She loves you. You're the MVP. You're the most important person, not her boss. You are, because you just reduced her stress and took fear out of the operation. I need to run this past my business owner. Easiest way to solve this problem is make sure you're sitting down with all the parties. So what I do is I say, hey, listen, is anybody else involved in this decision-making process? When I sit down with them, I want to find that out, because that avoids this objection from even coming up, okay? So running an effective calendar, time is your most valuable resource, guys. So what I want to do with you today is just, number one, focus your attention on your goals. You need to know what you're going to hit. If you, man, I was talking to somebody about this, I think Preston or Marcus or somebody, and I was paddling across Lake Havasu, right? So I'm paddling across Lake Havasu, and I'm looking at the birds flying over, and I'm looking at the boats coming by, and I see the wave coming in. Oh, that's going to give me a little rock on my boat. And you know what? Guess what happened? The front of my boat, I'm heading across the river. The front of my boat kept going like this because I kept noticing everything else. Guess what happened? It took me longer to get to my desired result. Now listen, the moment that I switch from looking at the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees, and I start focusing on my result, what I'm going for, I point that bow to that location and I start paddling and I'm staying focused. Guess what happened? I reach my destination sooner. I reach my destination faster. This is why I don't look on Facebook for personal reasons from 8 to 5. I don't respond to personal emails between 8 and 5, Monday through Friday. I don't sit at home and turn on Oprah. I like Oprah. She's a nice lady, you know, but I don't watch her between 8 and 5. I'm focused in on my business between 8 and 5, Monday through Friday, okay? Now, if I get all my stuff, now listen, you know me, I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I get home at 6 or 7 at night. But, guys, I like to front load my week so I can have an easier Friday. But focus and put determination into your business Monday through Thursday, and then capitalize on Friday as a follow-up day, and you can wrap this business all into one. But if you let distractions take hold, guys, you're going to be spinning. And listen, worst case scenario, you get so distracted you end up going the opposite direction, and that's back to a job, which is just over broke, which is what I'm not, because I'm with Aflac for 7 years. I want you where I am. There is no love or no pride I take in me just making money. I want everybody else making a good living. But we do it by helping people and by staying focused on our goals. Number 2, identify and commit to your working hours. What are you, next week, open your calendar today, where are you going to be every single day, and what are you committed to? What do your hours look like in your business? The more you devote, the bigger return on that investment of time. Number 3, have a calendar at all times, everywhere you go, and a lot of us have it on our phone. But listen, you can make appointments walking in the grocery store. You could be somewhere and run into a networking opportunity and get an appointment with a decision maker. Guys, we've got to make sure that we're using our calendar as a tool. Your most valuable resource is time. You've got to be specific and measured in how you spend it. Very important. Next piece is goal setting. And just to touch on this really quickly, guys, $50,000 a year, $1,042 a week. You need to get in front of 56 business owners next week. So on your calendar, do you have it spelled out where you're going to get your 56 in-person approaches every week? Do you have that listed? Do you have it broken out? You have to do it, because what happens is if conversations and things get muddled in the way on Monday and you only get to 8 and you were scheduled for 15, then you have Tuesday and maybe you're scheduled for 15 and you pop 20 out to pay back for Monday. You got to budget your in-person approaches. That is your time and capital. If you're not addressing and spending that in the right way, you'll lose ground. So when I go on SAT and I see somebody that tells me they're going to work full time and they had 25 in-person approaches, like, guys, I go, oh my God. Because I worry about you. I worry that if your trend starts going down, activity starts to decrease, so does the result. And then all of a sudden the person works themselves out of a career. That's not what I want. I want you to block your time off, budget the in-person approaches, and if you're working by yourself, put a 1 on every single day, and that identifies I'm going to come home with at least 1 appointment. If you're working with a partner, make sure it's 2. Now, out of this, you'll see it says 3.6. So out of 56 in-person approaches, 3.6 decision maker appointments should be made. But listen, guys, you should try to focus in on 5 a week. You want to push a little bit over whatever they're telling you on this goal. Aflac lowballs it, but I want you to highball it. Which what I mean is I want you to be a baller. The only way you be a baller is by going above and beyond what they're asking you to do. And not way above and beyond, just a little bit, incremental increases. Out of those 5 appointments, 3 to 4 should go through, and you'll be able to get in front of 11 to 12 employees. Out of that, 7 people sign up, 60% close rate, and you make $1,000. If you want to be in the $100,000 category, it wasn't until my 2nd year, quite honestly, I made $67,500 as a brand new associate in my first 12 months. My second 12 months, I hit $114,000 in income. But listen, guys, I've seen one person hit $100,000 their first year with Aflac. He actually hit 112. The guy was a machine, though. He worked 7 to 5, Monday through Friday, and you couldn't get in on his calendar. Like, the guy was booked solid all week long. If you're not booked solid, like if I can call you and say, hey, are you available at 3 o'clock on Thursday? And you are, that's dangerous, man. That's scary to me, because, yeah, it's great to have time with your regional, but it's better to have a completely full schedule where you got to put me off till next week. Like, I'd like to be put off that way because I'm too damn busy. I can't meet with you, Eric. Like, that to me is more important than meeting with me. You being successful is more important to me than you meeting with Eric, okay? I want you to be successful. I don't give a crap about being the king. Call me the janitor. I don't really care. I care about your success, not about, I'm already successful. Call me whatever you want. I want you to have the same success or even more than I've had with Aflac. So plan the work and work the plan. What do you want your future business to look like? Where is it going to be in 5 years? And so, you know, districts that are on the call today, guys, you can't think about quota. I mean, when somebody tells me, you know, I'm going to hit quota, man, I want to know what you see in your business model, what your potential is for next quarter. Likewise, as an associate, what are you going to do next quarter? I'm going to do the same thing as this quarter. Man, God dang it. No, I want you to rise. I want you to win. The only way you do that is by having a bigger vision than what you currently have. You got to stretch and reach and grow that, but you got to see it. So this team is going to do, my quota is something like what, 3.67 million or something like that. I don't get, like, I have to actually think about that. I know we're going to do $4.2 million this year. An arbitrary number that corporate gives me means is worthless to me. Okay, that means I get to keep my job. Great, great deal. I want to go above and beyond and be a champion. You've got to think like that too in your business. Now, some people are single moms, and I want you to feel comfortable making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year, and you're a champion to me. But if you really want to reach and you want to make a 6-figure income and you're a single mom, you can still do that. You're empowered at Aflac to make your own decisions. Each full-time Aflac associate has 8 hours to work in the day. Your goal is to set one new appointment per day to make $50,000 to $75,000 a year. Do not let anything impede on work hours. Honey, can you go get me bread? No. And I want to tell you, my wife is sitting in the hospital right now. And people get, some people can say, hey, man, that's where I would be. And listen, that's understandable. I spent all Monday with my wife. But I realized that two things are going on. Tammy is going to be in the hospital. She's well taken care of. There was a touch and go point where we were a little nervous on Monday. So I stayed with her the whole time. But here's the thing. My family's future is important. My wife's future is important. And the lifestyle that we want to live is important too. So I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I still maintain the same level of productivity as an RSC this week as if Tammy wasn't in the hospital. Why do I take pride in that? Now, did I cut off a little early when I was over at Ron's office to get back so I could be with Tammy by 5 o'clock at the hospital? Yes, I did. But I still did my job for that week. I still put in the activity required to complete my job. And listen, if Tammy was on like really bad shape, I probably would have taken more time off of work, just to be intellectually honest. But I know she's being well taken care of, and I'd probably bug the crap out of her if I stayed in the hotel or in the hospital room with her. So it's probably good for her therapy for me to be gone. But the God's honest truth is we still got to keep, the business has to keep rolling. I cannot let my team down. You are a part of my family too, and I'm not going to lose because of a bad circumstance. I'm just going to find a way to rework my week so I still accomplish my goals. Focus all day on setting one appointment with a qualified lead. And that's repeated. I know it was in a previous one, but I want that to stick in your head. Very important. Partners, you need to set 2 appointments per day, 5 days a week. So if 2 people are partnering up, I see 2 partners in the room right now, you guys got to have 10 appointments in the week because you are feeding 2 incomes. So that means you don't, and I want 2 people to hit Fireball Series, not 1, and not neither. And so you're splitting things up commission-wise. You need to make sure that you're doubling up on the activity. Make history today or become history tomorrow. This is a Pistol Pete exclusive quote. So when you make history today or become history tomorrow, if you're not constantly hitting that mark and stretching yourself and reaching a goal and doing a little more than you've ever did before, you enter into a stagnation point. But the minute that you say, I refuse to lose, next week, I'm going to do a little bit more than I did the week before, and that's more than I've ever did before in my Aflac career. Guess what happens? You build your business. You have just made a choice to be successful. But if you say, hey, I did good last week, I'm just going to do the same thing this week, guys, that's not a champion. And listen, you're welcome at Aflac, but that is somebody that is going to end up hitting a plateau. If your activity slips over a few weeks, you end up going downward. So use your activity metrics to make sure you're making history today so you can be successful tomorrow and you don't become history. So here's an example of a $50,000 calendar, and you'll see this. I mean, you can take a look at it too if you want, Sean, but if you want to come on over. Monday, you'll notice I have Monday morning meeting blocked out. You can block that out every week because every district office should hold Monday morning meetings with their teams, and they do. But what I try to do is always have an ER appointment right after my Monday morning meeting. And why this is important is because, there's a lot of cool people that work at Aflac. People like Sean. Come on over here, Sean. See, man, I like to hang out with people like this. Ron Day, I see you on the call. I like to hang out with Ron Day. But you know what's dangerous about that is time. See, if I spend too much time with you, I like you, man. But if I spend too much time with you, I'm not going to be here to spend more time with you, right? Good, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. So the important thing is to block out the Monday morning meeting. Try to focus in all week to make sure you have a DM at 10 o'clock. So you're out the door in your business. Now, the important thing here, too, is when you get a win at that 10 o'clock ER, guess what happens? You put wind in your sails. You feel great about your week, and the best time to make a sale is when you've gotten one. And making a sale at Aflac's getting an appointment, okay? Then at noon, you'll see 11, I try to have an ER at 11 too. And there's another psychological reason why I do that. Business owners usually are trying to catch up on Monday with their work from the weekend or maybe stuff they put off on Friday that they shoved into this week. Remember, they have a week and a half worth of work to do sitting on their desk right now. So in my mind, I was thinking as a new associate, and it held true, that listen, if they're expecting me to come in, I'm not an inconvenience because I have an appointment. So I try to make sure that I book appointments for Monday morning after the Monday morning meeting so that I'm not intruding on other people's business. Then in the afternoon, it's great to go marketing because they've caught up for their Monday morning stuff from last week and whatnot, finished up their paperwork. And then it's great to go out and go do marketing. But at noon, what I do is I take a break, check all my emails, check my claims, make sure I don't have any claims I need to submit. And from those ERs this morning that I had, I'm also going to submit my SIC codes, my SIC requests, because because I'm going to go back and do a cold call, phone call with them. It keeps flipping. All right, so you'll notice that between 1 and 2, I have a marketing block, and then I have an ER at 3. Why I picked North Lake Havasu is because I had an ER in North Lake Havasu. You don't want to starve. In other words, you don't want to have a whole bunch of windshield time. So you really want to try to capture marketing in wherever you have appointments already set. That's called intentional time saving. And then you'll notice Tuesday morning what I did was I booked my whole morning for the phone. Now, most of the time we want to go in and walk in person. That's the biggest impact we can make. But there's certain businesses that don't live on the main streets. There's some businesses that are run out of people's homes. I'm going to selectively target those businesses that are not on the main drag so I can call them and set up an appointment so I can go to their home and tell them about Aflac, right? Be careful, ladies, about going to people's homes by yourselves, please, all right? Just for safety purposes. But literally, you'll notice at the top I have 50 phone calls and 10 in-person approaches that I am scheduled to do on Tuesday. So that means I'm going to get 50 phone calls done plus 10 in-person approaches. Then on Wednesday, I'm in Parker because I had a couple ERs down there. So I have 2 ERs in Parker, and then I'm going to market in Parker right until lunch. And then I'm going to check my SIC codes, my email, make sure that everything's going well, and I'm all set up for next week because I'm always constantly thinking about next week, even on Tuesday. Then I have an ER at 1, but that's towards Lake Havasu, kind of central Lake Havasu. So after my ER, I have planned marketing activities. I know who I'm going to see, specific targets that I'm going to go after, leads that I've scrubbed to make sure they're not Aflac accounts, and that they're a viable candidate. In other words, they're not, Safeway or something that you got to go to a corporate office. Then I have a follow-up appointment at 3 p.m. and then check claims and everything. I take 4 o'clock. I usually stop around 4 and again, check my emails, check my claims, make sure SICs are all inputted down the way. So then you'll see I'm up in Bullhead. Bullhead's about 40 minutes from Lake Havasu, and I was living in Lake Havasu at the time. So I drive up. I had a BNI meeting at 7 a.m. That's Business Networking International. I'm working in networking. All types of marketing is plugged into my week. So network marketing is in there. So I'm getting in front and doing networking. I'm doing the phone, so I'm not missing the people on the back roads. And then I'm also making sure I do in-person approaches. Notice these 3 components are in every week that I work. Okay? So then you'll see I have Bullhead City. I'm marketing around that BNI meeting. And then I'm going to start heading back home towards Lake Havasu again. So I'm going to stop for lunch, do my claims, do my research, SIC, check my email. Then at 1 p.m., I'm going to market South Bullhead City because I'm heading south, and it's just better use of my time, okay? And then, so from 1 to 2, I'm in South Bullhead, and then I have an ER in Fort Mojave, which is just south of Bullhead City, and then I'm going to head back home. So I'm thinking about what's best for time and also what's best for me, right? That's okay too. You can also think, hey, what will be best so I can make it home and have dinner with my family at 5 o'clock? Like, that's part of the reason why we do this business. But the important thing to do on Wednesday and Friday is I met with myself on Friday, and I don't see this in here, but I met with myself Friday. Actually, I put it on Tuesday. And Tuesday or Wednesday, I would sit down and have an appointment with myself for an hour where I would look at next week and see what I had set up. And then I mark the days next week of where I'm going to be. So I'd go to the top of the calendar and look across the very top after 50,000, and you'll see all of these locations and specific activities that I'm going to be doing. This is important because I'm already budgeting out my next week, and also I have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to add in and completely lock down my calendar where you can't get on it. Okay, my focus is, as an associate, is to make sure that I have a completely packed calendar, and two things that does for me. It protects me from me, so I don't take off work early. It also protects me from time. I'm being specific with my spending of time, which is my capital. That's money to me, okay? And then, Thursday, obviously I went through that, but Friday, you'll see I got a regional webcast, so make sure the regional webcast is blocked off because I want you for an hour every week. April will be a little bit sketchy. I think Dave's going to help me out because I'll be in Malibu and in Cabo because I run a schedule like this. You want to go with me on these trips? Fill your schedule. I almost said something. All right, anyway. Then what I do is at about 3 p.m. every Friday, 3 to 4 o'clock, depending on my activity, I make another appointment with myself, and I lock down the next week. What am I doing on Friday? This should be a religion. Like I'm telling you guys, you got to make this a religious practice. I'm not talking about praying. I'm talking about it's got to be a fundamental. Friday was so important to me because I took all the marketing, all the leads that I'm working on and everything, and I look at my calendar and I look at the white space and where I'm going to be, and I take all my leads and follow up and elevates, and I filter them into buckets, and each bucket is location. So then I'm filling completely my next week's schedule, so I'm locked down. That's it. Scott calls me on the phone. He needs to meet with me. Sorry, boss. We'll have to put it on the next week. Oh, if Scott Webb called me on the phone, I'd meet with him. Yes, I hope you would, but I'd hope you were so damn busy that you can't work. You can't meet with him until next week. Your future is more important than me. Your future and your success and your family is more important than Scott Webb. I'm telling you, right, and I'm sure he would tell you the same thing. Okay, done preaching. All right. So $90,000 a year, we're not going to go through the whole thing because a lot of this is similar, but I want you to look across the top of the screen and you'll see Lake Havasu, in-person approaches. Let me expand this out a little bit. So you'll see that I just increased the number of activity or approaches or phone calls for each specific day to equate out to the $100,000 example. That I know that if I work this plan, I'm going to make 6 figures. Okay?
Hey, Eric.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we supposed to be seeing what you're seeing?
Okay, you can't see it?
I see you.
Okay. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good job. I'm glad you said that.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. Thank you for speaking up.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see $90,000 a year. And guys, I'm going to leave this up here for just a few minutes so you can kind of digest it. 15 in-person approaches on Monday, 100 phone calls. Now listen, that might sound like a lot, but if you sit down with a prepped list, either from Sales Genie, from Manta, from Reference USA, or even what I did is the phone book. Now, I know less people are advertising in phone books, but guess who's advertising in phone books now? Locals. Locals are, listen, I don't mean to say this kind of silly. Maybe I'll just say it like it is, because I always do. So, if they're that, I don't want to say stupid. No, but if they're that silly to where they think that people actually still pick up phone books and call on businesses out of a phone book where 90% of people Google, right? Chances are you can probably score an appointment with them. No, I'm just saying. No, I'm being serious. Also, look at advertisements that you see. Here's another secret. I'd get these mailers in the mail with a whole bunch of local coupons on it by locally owned businesses. Savers or something like that, Saver coupons, whatever it is. And I would use that as a hit list. I would literally go, hey, because somebody walked in and sold them that. somebody had to meet with the decision maker to get that ad produced. So chances are, if they think print media is still the way to go, I need to meet with them because I want to take them to the next generation and help their business out and deploy Everwell and actually bring them into the next generation, right? Think about that. So 15 in-person approaches on Monday, 100 phone, 10 in-person, 20 in-person approaches in Parker, 20 in-person approaches in Bullhead, 15 in-person approaches in Mojave. That's, Ron, if I worked on your team, that's exactly what I'd be doing. And if you want my 2010 calendars in your office, you can take a look at it. That's how I worked as an associate, man. Drop the mic. We need people to do that. So more than ever before, guys, income, activity, match. You have to match your activity that you want based on your income with calendared, planned activities. They have to meet. They have to be a part of an equation. Game plan. Outline your next week's schedule on Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest, and that will be Wednesday morning. So you have time to fill in the gaps in your schedules on Wednesday, Thursday, and by Friday, you'll be able to completely seal your plan. Plan for success. Make sure, finalize your calendar on Friday. Okay, sorry for that. Study daily. Be a student of your craft. One of those things that I did, one of the categories that I listed on my calendar was research. Part of my research was learning. So as a new associate, we have a lot of classes that are available online. The first thing I wanted to know was product, and that was probably not the right thing. I should be working on skill set. But take each policy out and assign yourself a policy that you're going to do a university class every day. And I still do them because there's things that change in, not necessarily in the policies, but upgrades and different ways that AFLAC is teaching it. So I like to learn the freshest, the newest way to distribute AFLAC benefits. One more stop. This is the big deal. Now listen, 2010, I was #1 in opening up new accounts. I'm not trying to, well, I'm bragging a little bit. They say it's not bragging, but it's true. So #1 new accounts in 2010. My wife, Tammy, was #1 in 2011. Heather Betcher, my new hire, was #1 in the state of Arizona in 2012. 2013 was Walberto Ruiz, I believe. And he worked with me a little bit, but he was in another region. So I won't take credit for him. But 2014, I worked with the great Rick McKinney, which was the #1 account opener in 2014. 2015, I missed it. I was pissed over that. But 2016, we had Preston Davis as one of the top account openers in the state that he also works with me too. Now, there's a reason why successful people work with me and take my advice. I'm not the end all and be all at AFLAC. I'm not here to tell you I know everything. But here's what they do. They do one more stop every single day. Rick McKinney texted me and he said, Eric, there were 2 things that changed my life with AFLAC that you told me. And I said, wow, man, I made that kind of impact, like little old me. And he goes, yeah. He goes, #1, it was when I sit down with a decision maker, the deal is already done. I said, did I say that? And he goes, yeah, you did. I couldn't even remember. But he said, listen, Eric, you've made so much sense that if they're willing to sit down with me, then all we're here to do is work out the details. Like when you assume it that much that you know that, hey, they had to have liked me to be willing to meet with me, right? If they like you, they're going to take everything that comes with you, okay? If they don't like you, chances are they're not going to work with you. So first of all is building rapport. But the big thing is activity. If you're not doing one more stop, I'm telling you guys, there were so many times that I said, you know, I'm done for the day. I got my 20 in. I'm good. And then I said, let me just do one more. And then I walk in the next business and I get an ER right on the spot. I mean, it is crazy. But think about what that does. If you do 5 extra cold calls in a week, 5 extra cold calls in a week, in a month, you've just picked up a day. In 4 weeks, you picked up 20 in-person approaches without much extra effort. So you bought yourself an extra day every month. If you did that for an entire year, that'd be extra 12 working days that you just put in to your business. And I'm not counting the extra weeks because there's 52, right? So I want to take out vacation, holidays, 3-day weekends, things like that. But seriously, guys, buy yourself an extra day every single month, and you will be a success story at AFLAC long term. AFLAC. Yeah. There's an acronym there, but we're not going to use it today. All right, so guys, you have the opportunity. What are you going to do with it? This is your time. One of two things are going to happen to everybody on this call. Everybody, you are going to be in one or two buckets 5 years from now. You're going to say, I'm glad I did it. Or you're going to look back or looked on Facebook or look on LinkedIn. You're going to see these successful people that work with me today, and you're going to say, I wish I would have. Because they're having success. If I would have just stuck it out, man, what would my life be like? Don't work for $12 an hour. Don't work for $20 an hour. Shoot, don't work for $50 an hour. You think that's big money? It's not. When you're sitting down with people and you're signing them up for coverage, guys, every time you sign somebody up, you're not only getting the income from that, you're getting renewals. So if you break your back, or while my wife is in the hospital, she's still getting paid. Don't you want to live a life like that? That you don't have to worry about paying your bills if something bad happens to you? That's what life is like at Aflac. But here's the thing. After 7 years of being with the company, I can stroke a check and go anywhere in the world I want to. I can pay cash for it. I don't even own a credit card. And I'm not bragging. I'm telling you that I want you to have what I have. That it does me no good or makes me feel no better if I'm the only one in the region that can do that. I want multiple people to have the success that I'm having. Winners are dreaming of success. Excuse me. And they also do success. But while most are dreaming of success, winners wake up and work hard to achieve it. So that's what I want to leave you guys with today, and I want to break it out. Is there any other objections? Dave and I are going to help you overcome them. So are there any other objections that I didn't cover? So you can take yourself off of mute that you're facing right now. Any objections that you've heard? And I know you guys are in the field, so Sammy, yeah, there we go. I knew Sammy had one.
So it's not so much of an objection as it is just getting canceled on appointments or appointments. Even if you schedule a legitimate appointment, you're there with them, you put it on their calendar, they do too. They either forget about it, which you run into a lot, or they are too busy. And I get that a lot because a lot of the small employers here are very active in their business. So I come in and they're like, man, they're hung up on the job right now. I don't think they're going to be able to swing by. So I reschedule, but it happens again. It's just kind of an ongoing thing. Okay. I have been able to close accounts. It just takes a lot longer, but I didn't know if there's a trick to get a more legitimate appointment or something else that I'm missing to try to.
There's two tricks, and I'm gonna show you one that really is more recent for me. I wish I would have deployed this as an associate. I deploy it now as an RSC. So one of the things that I don't want to bring you through the whole story of how they came up with it, but I was reading this book called Small Big, and it's small things you can do in your business that equates to big results. And if you listen to it, it can be kind of convoluted. But what I got out of this was doctors were having a problem with no-show rates. So the industry itself, the healthcare industry, was losing billions of dollars because they were missing appointments. The doctor that normally makes $250, $400 an hour, like we do when we're sitting down and rolling, he's twiddling his thumbs, not making anything because somebody dissed him on an appointment. So what they discovered is they found out that instead of having the client just get a card with the appointment date and time on it, what they did was they gave the card to the client and had them write the time and date of their appointment. What they found by doing this was a reduction in missed appointments by 34% and saved billions in the places, well, millions, because I know all of them didn't drop it, but they are put it into effect. So they saved millions of dollars by just reducing your no-show rates by 34%. I started deploying that in what I do, and guess what happened? I saw immediate increase in show rates. So that would help. The other thing that worked well for me, a lot of business owners are working off of an electronic calendar. So they could write it on their day planner and never remember that they sat down with you or scheduled that appointment because it's on their desk and not with them in the car. So I would also ask them, hey, do you use Google Calendar or iCal? I would have a Google calendar set up and an iCal calendar set up, and you can set one up on iCloud.com. And that way you can set the appointment and then send them an invitation. And you can also put an alert on there that will send them a reminder an hour before the event. So if you can if you can put in a couple little things like that and reduce your show rate by that much, it'll make a huge difference. Even if it's 20%, even if you see a 20% reduction in postponements, that'll make a big difference in your business.
So are you saying on like, if I got like business cards with an appointment on the back, like if I order new ones that have like an appointment date, like you see a lot of businesses, like actually write that up and then hand that to them?
I would have them write it on the back of a blank business card, or write on 1 day pay. Have the 1 day pay on the back and have them write it under that. Guess what? You're just also advertising 1 day pay. What it does in the brain, what they found out by doing this study, was they found out that by the person writing it down on the back of your card, you gain commitment. So that was the big tipping point that increased their show rates by 34%. It's the act of gaining commitment. It's not whether the lines are on the back of the card or not. Good question, man.
Thank you. That's good advice. I'm gonna utilize that.
It works. I promise you, man, that it works. And sometimes I would feel the business out. Sometimes I would call them the day before, and then other times I would show up. And then when I'd show up and they weren't busy, I'd say, oh, man, I had this on my calendar today. And I wouldn't act like a jerk. I'd say, oh, I had this on my calendar today. Can we make sure it's solid for next week? And then, I would use that guilt to get my enrollment conditions. I'm being real, dude. I'm a nice guy. People don't like to turn me down. So, you good, buddy?
Yeah, that's just the one that I've been running into a lot lately, is the either cancellations or they get put off. Like I said, I've still been able to close a couple accounts that I had that happen to, but right now I've got a few. Well, yesterday I was able to walk back in and get an AOD done after he canceled on me, so I got it done. But I've got 2 other ones that are kind of doing it, so I just wanted to try to find some other tools to try to really lock it down to where I am more of a necessity, I guess you could say, to where it's not like, oh, well, we'll just move them aside. You know what I mean? I want to try to create more of an urgency or anything, to just make them commit. So that way I don't just get brushed off all the time, and I can just lock it down, get it done, take the next step.
That's right. No, and that's perfect. The other thing, guys, is that I always made sure that I had more than one enrollment, and I know we talked this week, Sam, and you had a couple scheduled, right? But I always tried to have 2 or 3 enrollments scheduled. So worst case scenario, 2 get rescheduled and 1 goes through. And what that did for me is that I had, as an associate, I had a 51-week run where I had business process every single week for 51 weeks. I missed it by, literally it was pended business, or I've been solid for 52 weeks. Okay. But regardless of that, doesn't matter. The truth is I was 51 out of 52 weeks with production hitting every week. Okay. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
Any other questions? It's 9 o'clock. I want to make sure I get any other questions in. Any other objections or concerns? I'm here to help you. Maverick Region 2, I'm here for you too, guys. Silence. Silence is scary sometimes. Guys, make sure that you're giving it your all. Don't take this. Oh, you're welcome. Just don't, guys. My biggest fear is not giving you the tools that you need. So if you want to email me and give me some feedback on this this today, you can talk about anything. I mean, do you like where I got it positioned? Feedback, anything you would like in the next training. I learned from you, and so what you need, I would like to address, because I'm a servant leader. I'm no better than anybody on this team. I clean the toilets at locations when I go there, because you know what? My agents sit on that toilet, and to me, they're the most important people on this planet. So guys, I'm here to be your servant. I'm here to help you. I want to give you everything it takes to be successful, but you got to go out there and do it. You can't sit at home and be successful. You got to get out there and show your colors and show why you're proud to be at Aflac. Tell them your why. So thank you guys for being on the call today. I appreciate you. And rock and roll. We need a big, solid push next week for both Maverick and the Alliance region to finish this quarter strong. Thanks, and you guys have a great